We had terrible, terrible forest fires here, and there were about 7,000 homes that all burned down on the same day. And if you take 7,000 families that suddenly need a new place to live in a location where there already aren't any vacancies, you wind up with people living in mobile homes. One of our neighbors is living in this mobile home here. They were burned out of their house.
Stopgap measures like RVs are often the only option for people with land and no home. This may be the case now for some who lost their homes to the LA fires. To offer some advice to those looking to live in a vehicle, we visited friends in Southern California who have converted their vans into homes.
Just woke up. It's about 6:30 a.m. Slept on the same street right here, which is a couple blocks away from the hospital. So I've been having this issue where my battery is dying, and sometimes it's attributable to like really cloudy days and just not enough sun. But what I think is happening because of the wildfires that have been happening in California, there's very poor air quality. I think my solar panels need to be cleaned because I've never cleaned them since owning the van. So I'm gonna very, very quietly sneak up to the top of the van and try to clean the 3 solar panels that are up there, so hopefully I don't fall off. Look how dirty. This is crazy. I think one of the reasons why it might be so disgusting up here where all the solar panels are is because of all of the wildfire smoke and dust and ash that has been accumulating and circulating around LA. In some parts of LA, especially where like UCLA is, it was actually raining ash. So disgusting. I have to hobble around up here. It's kind of awkward when everyone sees me in the community. So I haven't been able to power my van. It's lost some juice. So I think probably the main reason is because there's not enough sunlight hitting these solar panels. So just cleaning it off today, and hopefully that will do the trick. Okay, ta-da, we did it. They're all clean. Now I'm a little worried that I can't get this off my hands before I head over to the hospital for clinic. Hopefully this all comes off. I'm a medical student at UCLA. So in our first year as a medical student, we have our preclinical years. How was class, everyone? So I was living in the van while going to classes and studying really hard. Parked on the streets right outside of UCLA's campus. And now in our second year as medical students, we have the incredible opportunity of getting to experience all of LA while we rotate at different hospitals. I've been living this way for a while now, and I have zero regrets. It is such a beautiful practice to live so simply. It makes a lot of sense for me as a medical student. It's helping me save money from the incredible loans of medical school. I've had to take out less loans because I get to live like this. But at the same time, it comes with its different challenges. Sometimes you feel a little more isolated than you otherwise would. Sometimes you run out of water when you're trying to brush your teeth. It is about 6:30 on a beautiful Thursday morning. Slept overnight here, my favorite street in all of Long Beach. Had a beautiful night's rest. But as I was waking up, I went to brush my teeth, and as I was brushing my teeth, I ran out of water, which was really sad, but it's okay. All it means is I have to switch out my 2 7-gallon tanks back here. So I wanted to offer some tips and little tricks for living this way. I would say, one, if you can build it out yourself, please build it out yourself. Because you will feel so happy to know that you are living in a space that is handcrafted. I'm so proud to live in this space, a space that I find really warm and welcoming. I just look around and I'm just so happy every single day. And now we have Amanda in here. We're just gonna make some dinner casually outside of the dog park.
Yes.
And it's so fun to get to show it off to friends and family. We're just making some quinoa and some broccoli. So that's one, is try to build it out if you can. Another kind of just a fun little piece of advice is that you can get a Planet Fitness membership for only like $20 a month, which allows you to shower all around the country. Or some gym membership, they're pretty cheap if you're looking for a place to shower. It's Saturday morning at about 7 a.m. So I haven't showered in like 3 days. So I think I'm gonna go and jump in the ocean. Hopefully that counts. That counts, right? Maybe I'm nasty, I don't know. Probably am. I'll shower tomorrow though when I get back. Another piece of advice, embed yourself in different communities and get to learn people's stories. Just ran 4 miles with the jogging club. First time doing that, and it was super cool. I think we're living in a very, very interesting time where people are very, very polarized. Living in a van gives you the opportunity to travel, to set up shop in different places, to connect with people, and to listen to people and learn their stories.
You think van life, and everybody has this notion, it's like this Instagram couple that's like wearing swimwear and they like jump in the ocean and they take an outdoor shower and then they're just like, you know, hot plating some, you know, corn dogs. It's like so far from what our van life is and what's at stake. Like there's no thong bathing suits, there's no corn dogs. It's like, how do we get a sense of normalcy where for years that wasn't possible?
Yeah. What I noticed when I was looking at other vans and researching is like people were putting a lot of crap into a very tight space and then you're breathing that for long periods of time. So the first thing in this van, the first consideration was materials, because that's what you're going to be breathing in. And most materials, construction materials, off gas. Everything in here is white oak. I use Pure Bond, which is a plywood that is formaldehyde-free. So all of the wood is formaldehyde-free, all the plywood. And then the huge thing, what do you seal it with? Like, right, you have to seal the wood. That's where you get into a lot of trouble. So this is all sealed with formaldehyde-free products. It goes on, there's no chemical smell that comes from it. And you know, my body tells me everything I need to know. So I either get dizzy or I get a headache. I feel so good when I'm in the van. There's no heavy VOCs, and most importantly, there's no formaldehyde. Formaldehyde's the killer. That's huge because you can see how much wood is in here. Flooring. A lot of vans I see people are putting vinyl in. That can be problematic. So this is marmoleum. It actually has natural antibacterial properties. It's really durable, easy to clean, and zero off-gassing whatsoever. In a van, the materials you're thinking about, then you have to think about the glues that you use, the sealers, all of the things kind of behind the walls, the insulation. I use wool insulation. And then a lot of the finishes in a van are fabric. The majority of stuff that's out there, again, is going to have a lot of chemicals in it. So this is just wool. There was one company that makes this seat that's like rated for kids to sit in. And I've got all my gadgets here. This is specifically for RVs. So this is an RV HEPA air filter. So you can plug this in at night or, you know, just when the van is parked. It's just a big block of carbon. It's actually pulling VOCs out of the air, and it's a HEPA filter too. So any dust, particles.
Say there's a fire outside.
Yeah, this is actually a really quality. It looks strange, but this is a 12 volt, so this is low voltage too. And so it works with the batteries to pull at least the amount of power as possible. The most important gadget is the air quality. That's the ultimate, because I can tell you it's clean in here, but it'll take a second. It's going to count down. This is going to tell you formaldehyde. That's going to give you total VOCs. And that's just CO2, which is more of a function of how much oxygen is in the van. It's pretty interesting when you actually can measure it, because you start to see the difference in spaces you go into. You know, when people go into a new car and they say it has that new car smell, you're smelling VOCs. That's just off-gassing coming from all the different materials inside the van. So this thing would be lit up. If you were somewhere where it was freshly painted, then it would also probably be very high.
So in a way, your condition is almost like you are almost like a canary
Canary in the coal mine?
in the coal mine, in the sense that you are telling us that our environments are basically unhealthy by design.
In the Lyme community, they often describe people as the canaries, because their bodies are picking up on things that all of our bodies are sensing, but we're just feeling it so much more.
The rocks fell off.
Oh, honey. There's a smell on that.
Oh, sorry. It's probably the glue. The smell of what?
Open the door, Kai. I got bit by a tick when I was 11 years old. And so I grew up sort of unknowingly with Lyme disease. And as I got into my 30s, weird stuff started happening to my body. Towards the end, it was the electrical sensitivity. I couldn't touch my keyboard on my computer. The cell phone suddenly started to really bother me, and was getting really bad headaches, and it was putting me in fight or flight.
Pull that thing up a little bit so we get some fresh air in here.
I realized that where I was living was a big part of my attempt to try and heal from what was going on. So for me, it was like just about getting to a place that was quiet. When I ordered the van, I ordered it so stripped down that the dealership was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm serious." But I was like, I don't even want a subfloor. Like, I just want a metal can. The other challenge was trying to find a van company that would work with me, to figure out how to make this thing truly healthy. There was one that said, "To be honest with you, dude, we don't use the healthiest materials." And he actually wrote that to me in an email. I found a company, Atlas, in Ventura, California, and they were just game from the beginning. Everyone's familiar with like the van videos where like all these features come out and you can do all these things. Like this van, it's more about what we use to kind of put it together. Okay guys, where are we going?
We're going to Redwood, California, to a treehouse 20 feet off the ground. Yep.
I was thinking about it. Mike hasn't really been on vacation or traveled since 2018, I think.
Stressful getting out.
He probably hasn't left the house for more than a 3-hour chunk since 2019. And so there's just so much pressure in doing these builds because they're so personal.
The stakes are so
The
big.
stakes feel really big,
Yeah.
even though it's just stuff.
That's where we're staying.
It seems like it could be seen as like an expensive toy, but it isn't. It really is, for him, the only way he can have freedom, and then for our family be able to participate in that. You know, even though it's just like insulation or a filtration system, it's not just that.
First night sleeping in the van, and it was pretty darn good, my sleep. How about you?
I slept pretty well.
So your water
I have a water filter. So this filters the water, and it also has UV filtration, so that'll kill any bacteria, because like it's notorious, vans, RVs, for having really shitty water because it's sitting in a tank. So I don't drink this, but I'll use it if I'm cooking something or if I'm cleaning. This is so you can use the space as like countertop if you're using it on there, and that pops off if you want to use the sink.
So you have a refrigerator?
Yeah. They were able to figure out a way to have this slide out.
That's big. Wow, it fits the whole space there.
It's big, yeah. And so that's your freezer side, and then you have a fridge side. But like, I have to eat the food fresh. So I can't have food sitting around. So a freezer was a really important component. This is 12 volt, so you're just drawing less power, which is important in a van. Everything is low voltage. This is 12 volt. This is my air conditioner. I have a heater that's behind you. That heater's at low voltage. The only thing in this entire van that isn't low voltage is this. So this is just an electric cooktop. And I went with this because the other option is propane. And I didn't love the idea from an air quality standpoint of having a propane gas in like a tight space with not enough ventilation. I had the bed custom made, so it's just pure latex. Latex it's another great material because it doesn't off gas. You don't have issues with mold or bacteria with latex. So it's kind of naturally antimicrobial. See, all the bedding is organic cottons and nothing that's going to create an issue. So if you have a mattress that has metal coils in it, that will conduct electricity, so you will bring more electricity to you. So let's say you have a traditional mattress in a van, but you also have all this electrical equipment below you, you're kind of sucking those EMFs right up into your body. So this thing, it's coilless. This is your battery. This is when you want to flip on the inverter, which typically would be an issue for me because that's where you're taking the solar and changing it from DC to AC. And that's where you can have something called dirty electricity, which can create an issue for some people. People feel that. But we were really careful to make sure that the van was as clean as possible from an EMF perspective.
How do you do that?
You do it by, number one, all the wiring in the van is shielded, so there's no EMFs coming off of the wiring. And then under the bed, so that's the other thing, is everybody sleeps on top of their electrical equipment in a van. So you think about like the advice you get, like don't put your cell phone on next to your bed.
Yeah.
You're sleeping on an enormous cell phone when you're in a van. And so how do you make that safe? Shane at Optimal Dwelling did all of the architecting of this, but that's what Shane does. He helps people, he goes into their homes, he does inspections to let them know how to mitigate the EMFs in their homes.
Most of the battery cabinetry, we've actually put a specialty film that employs a number of rare earth elements like cobalt to block the magnetic field from coming out and reaching as far into the van. So one of the biggest problem areas is going to be the inverter. So it's less than 1/10 of a milligauss with this system right now, which is extremely low. There's the problem though, as soon as we turn this inverter on, you're going to hear the meter crank, and now we're about 45 milligauss, so that's a huge increase. So this entire cabinet has that shielding material. Now we're down around 5 milligauss. So this shielding material is doing a really good job. This OEM wiring configuration on the battery are separated, and that is going to create a magnetic field each and every time. The only fix here is to actually discontinue where this mounts to the firewall, bring it all the way back. Until you do that, you're going to have a significant field. So you can see about 43 milligauss. So this is it. This is the biggest bang for the buck you can do.
Show you the back here, or the garage. Yeah, this garage is really about the shielding. So all of the equipment is in here. So everything is shielded with this magnetic shielding. It prevents all the EMFs from coming out of that space. But you can see how much electrical you have under your bed there. And I didn't do as much as most vans. So it's a lot of wiring. And that's, you know, that's a good 1.5 feet, 2 feet from your head. I mean, I took it to another level, but I would argue that there are probably some people sleeping on top of their electrical equipment that aren't sleeping so well and don't realize why. Sometimes people are concerned if there's like a big electrical pole next to their house and they're not quite sure how that's going to affect them.
Is that an issue?
No, because what's an issue is when they have the big cans on them, it's the transformers, so where you have more high voltage. I think what Shane did is pretty amazing, because I wasn't sure when I got in the van if I was going to feel it, and I didn't. What he did worked. Still got, you know, little features like this too, which are awesome because you can cook off the back. And then you have an outlet, so if you want to plug in another burner here, or like an electric burner, or you want to do a toaster oven or something, you can totally do that off the back. In terms of window coverings, found this really cool company. They were able to use this non-toxic glue. The material is a mud cloth, which is just cotton. It comes from Africa, and then it's just has little magnets on them, so it actually just magnetizes here, and it's really easy. It took a good year of thinking. It was a lot of research because I didn't really have any prior knowledge or experience about vans. It's just not the priority for the van companies that are doing the conversions. But for people that are in the vans, I spoke to quite a number of people. People don't feel so good. That's just, you don't hear about that. Really? But yeah, people are in vans that either the materials are making them feel sick, or they're not insulated properly, and so they get mold inside the walls. There's a lot of stuff that can happen if you don't think it through. This is also another table. This also goes down. So a lot of times you just want to be outside.
Right?
Because you're usually vanning and driving somewhere that's like beautiful and you want to be outdoors anyway. So the more you can cook outside, the better.
What's your setup here then? You just have, this is kind of like a place your kids could come in, you could all sit down and eat?
This is like a little kind of work station if they like want to eat here, and you could turn both of these chairs turn around.
There we go. That's awesome.
Yeah, so all of these flip around so everyone can kind of eat here. Yeah. This table also is removable. And this is also a bed. Because I had to come up with like a sleeping solution for everybody. When that flips around, you have basically a bed. It has almost like a little mattress on top, so it's pretty comfortable. SuChin was worried about where she would pee. I did get this toilet that is a legitimate Japanese disaster toilet. You can go to the bathroom and it backs it up and seals it. So it's not like compostable toilets. I didn't love the idea of traveling around the van with any like black water, thinking about air quality. So this is like for emergency situations, mostly for my wife. And the first time actually we did it, we didn't set it up correctly, and SuChin peed in it, and then it started dripping out underneath. And we were like, oh shit, I guess I should have read the directions. It does work, and I'm not lying when I said this was actually from when they had the tsunami in Japan. They were making these toilets, and then they ended up using them in RVs. And there's like no perfect solution. There's not one that you're like, oh, that sounds amazing. I wanted the van to be EMF safe, but I don't want to take away us being able to plug things in and do what we need to do. So we do have an outlet, we have USB ports, and then I actually have Ethernet. So the van is hardwired. So there's no wireless in the van, but we actually have a little satellite that on the top of the roof that gets a signal, and then it sends the signal through wires into the van. So it's a wired van. It's pretty rare. I have another port on the side of this seat. So like when you're driving, if you want to get directions.
Mom, how are you feeling?
So this allows us to use the cell phone in the van without actually having it on cellular.
Wait, do you guys have water?
Because again, we're in a tight space.
A sight never seen before.
Snow bunnies.
Fine. Really?
The journey truly began with the house.
You just ring it. Ring it. I'll get.
You wouldn't ring the hi!
Yay! Doorbell doesn't work. We just stand by the window.
Suckers. When I was really sick, I had to create a space where I could heal. And that's what this house became. The big stuff you start with, the first things we talked about were paint and flooring. Number one is paint. So a lot of people find low VOC paint. That stuff, unfortunately, has all kinds of formaldehyde and ammonias. And so he introduced me to Safe Coat. The next piece was flooring. So this flooring, it's actually solid white oak built onto a limestone core. And they use kind of a zinc coating on the top instead of polyurethane. I have a dog who's peed on this floor, and I can vouch for this flooring. It's really, really amazing. We have no Wi-Fi in the house. All the wiring is shielded, and there's no wireless. Everything, like all the internet is, we have Ethernet ports, like right here. And so all the internet signals come in through wired, which in the end was actually kind of cool because you get a much better signal. Then the next one is cabinetry. We live in our kitchens. Most people are in their kitchens all the time. Cabinetry happens to be one of the more toxic things because so much of it is this like composite wood, and it has just a ton of glues and adhesives and solvents. So this is what I use in the van actually. This is all Pure Bond plywood, which is just like certified formaldehyde-free plywood. Not that expensive. And then it's like, okay, now what's behind the walls? What are you using for your insulation, for caulking in the house, and also your air purification? People are more aware about air quality because of the wildfires. We have 4 HEPA filters back to back. So it just pulls out a lot of particulate and the air just is really clean. And while I was doing the house, I had an opportunity to write an article about the process of trying to build this quiet house. It's just been incredible to me to see how many people have reached out. Everyone here has messaged me about the article. And from all over the world, I wanted to reach out to someone who shares your same story. These are all people that have reached out to me. It made me feel not so alone when I realized there were others. How many doctors do you go to that ask you about your home environment? Did you notice a difference when we first moved in?
Everything feels cleaner isn't the word because it's not cleaner. It's almost like there's never any dust. Any house would even just see kind of dust floating around. So it's not about clean.
The air is cleaner.
Yeah, there's something about the air that you noticed is it feels a little bit like it's somehow crossed between outside air and inside air. Like there's a crispness to it. It's never been done before. So every piece of it he had to sort of reinvent it to make it work.
Just unplug it.
It's a landline.
That's a landline, folks. Let me tell you, when you call to get a landline these days, that's rare. And they're like, sir, how old are you?
The fax machine will go off in
Yeah.
a second.